What are the 3 best ways you can help manage anxiety? If you're a woman in your mid to late 40s, starting perhaps to go through perimenopause or menopause, and you're finding that your anxiety symptoms are getting worse, what ways can you help manage that with self-help tools that you can do at home? I'm Karen. I am a Pilates instructor. I have been for around 20 years, and during that time I've also interviewed lots of people and written in magazines and online about well-being for women. I've wanted to give more than just my Pilates classes for some time because I think there are so many easy things that women can do at home with the right knowledge to improve their own health and to feel better and actually happier and probably be more likely to move. So throughout March, I'm sharing some of my best tips for simple things that you can do at home to help you feel that little bit better. And the first thing I'm looking at today is anxiety. Now, this is something I am no stranger to. I have struggled with it for many years. I didn't really realise what it was until I was in my mid to late 30s after I had my second child, and it got to the point I just really couldn't cope with it anymore. I do still have periods where I know my anxiety levels are high and therefore I'm more prone to a trigger. But more or less now I'm getting it under control with some of these measures that I'm going to share with you today. And they are so much about knowing and therefore being able to be aware and act on those things. The first thing is to use the acronym HALT. HALT. If you start to feel that anxiety is bubbling up, are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Or are you tired? Often if you're having a dark day where those anxious thoughts are just, you can't get them out of your head, it's quite often going to be one of those things that is making that situation worse. Perhaps you're hungry. So have you had breakfast this morning? Have you had a good quality protein with your breakfast? Or are you surviving on sugar? I mean, that's a sure way, I know, for me to feel that by the end of the day, I am unraveling. So have you had some food? First thing you need to do. Second thing, are you angry? Is something really causing you to feel angry? And that again is making you on edge to all of those thoughts. What is the thing that's making you angry? You might not be able to resolve it, but just being aware of it can really help. Now, I am not a therapist, but these are just things that really help me, that I've learned from therapists and I've learned from daily life and talking to other women that can really help. The other thing is loneliness. Do you just need to talk to a friend? I know it can make me feel a million times better when I just leave my house and I go and teach a class. I'm with people, I'm around other people. It's actually one of the reasons I don't think I could ever stop teaching classes, not because it's my therapy, but because it's really important for the way I work in the world and for how I want to live my life. And the last one, tiredness. And I'm sure you can relate to this. I'm sure you've been there where you're absolutely hanging, shattered. Perhaps the anxiety has been keeping you awake and it feels like it's a vicious cycle. But knowing these things, knowing whether it's hunger, anger, loneliness or tiredness can help you in your head think, okay, the world isn't falling apart. All those people don't hate me. I haven't upset everyone, which are some of the common things that go around my head. I'm just feeling really tired. And tomorrow, I'm sure, will feel like a better day. And these are things that I even talk to my children about if they are having struggles with anxiety. What's the second thing? Know your triggers. And I was only the other day chatting to someone about this who was saying that she'd had a pretty rough couple of days. She had some emails coming about a property she owned and it just set her thinking, you know what it is when you have anxiety and one trigger comes in and suddenly that's it. You're going to change jobs, you're going to move house, you're going to run away. It feels like it has to be everything all at once. But actually, you've just been triggered by something. And again, something I learned from my therapist many years ago was if you know what your triggers are, have a kind of ABC. So in the same way as if you had a fire alarm going off, or if there was a fire, you'd know to really quickly know your drill. Same thing, if a trigger has got you and your brain is literally going into hyperdrive, you need a simple ABC. Is this really true? Is this just one thing that's happened and it might not mean the end of my life as I know it? So just know your triggers so that if that trigger comes, you can think, yes, ding dong, that's a trigger, I know that. So let's just calm down and come back to this tomorrow when I've had some rest. Number 3, take a brain break. You know, you get to that point where it starts bubbling up, you just feel tense and you just kind of feel irritable and you can't quite put your finger on it. Get yourself out of the house. Your brain is the biggest beneficiary of activity and exercise, more than your heart and lungs. Your brain. You're going to get outside, pop some shoes on, go and run really hard, or just walk gently to the shops, go for a little march, and I promise you it will just, not only is it good for your brain in that it helps for your brain to be away from other people, from technology, from social media, from all the things pouring into your head, but there's a very good chance that if you go outside and you can focus on what's going on around you. Oh, that's a bird pulling a worm out of the ground. Focus on the bird. Suddenly I feel better. Or maybe you trip over a tree stump. That's nature. It might be that you have a dog, you can take the dog for a walk. Just trying to take yourself out of your internal thoughts and focusing on the outside is going to be brilliant for your brain. So those 3 things: halt, know your triggers, and take yourself out for a break. I hope you found that helpful. Next time I'm going to be focusing on sleep, and I know that sleep and anxiety can often go hand in hand, and sleep is something we can often struggle with when we get into our mid to late 40s.